fact, let's go to page 9 and talk specifically about when can you change a term. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you have a contract with somebody, a certificate of deposit is a contract. It says, this is what we're going to pay, and you're going to leave your money here. And if they take their money, we're going to hit you with an early withdrawal penalty. You could even possibly refuse that, and that depends on your contract. But you're both agreeing to having this money on hand. It's not real liquid, and so we need to explain that through CD renewals. When you have it open up a CD or renewing it, that you explain to them, these are the terms for this whole contract. You don't get a chance to change terms on a certificate of deposit until it's renewing. You need to live with that. But now accounts, savings accounts, money markets, checking, things like that, you might want to change a term. Maybe your fees are going up. Maybe you're restricting amount of debits, things like that. So look here at Roman numeral 5 with me. And it talks about that if you're going to do anything that reduces their annual percentage yield or adversely affects them, restrictions on debits, deposits, any kind of fees that are going to go up, et cetera, then we have to tell them the effective date of that change. And then look at number 2, that's going to be at least 30 calendar days, 30 calendar days before the effective date. Now, let's think about this a minute. If you're going to send that out on a periodic statement, so we say effective March 1st, this fee is going to go up or go into effect. If you're going to do that through periodic statements, think about that your statements, some of them cut on the 1st, some on the 10th, some on the 20th, some at the end of the month. When is the last person going to get that? And then add 30 days to that. Don't just think, okay, it's, today's January 1st. Let's just say, I don't know why you'd be working on New Year's, but and so we want to put this in effect February 1st. We're going to put this on all of our January statements. Well, no, the last person is going to get that January 31st statement. And then, really be March, I can't even say March 1st because February, I shouldn't use that as an example. February has 28 days, but think about if you were to make a change that the last person getting it, add 30 days to that. That's the earliest effective date that you could do this by. Now, number 3, this is an important one. A lot of banks just want to throw in a whole new TISA disclosure and say, here's the new disclosure, read it. Well, if you're going to give them a whole new disclosure, you need to highlight what is changing on that because there's too much information. So we can do that. We just have to highlight what is being changed or just tell them what is changing. Now, section B of this on page 9 says you don't need to give changes if it's a variable rate account and you're changing the APY. Why? Because you told them in the initial disclosures, as we discussed just a few pages ago, that we can change it. Here's how often, here's how we do it, etc. You also don't need to get into these check printing fees or time accounts that mature 1 month or less, as we already mentioned those too. So a little bit of coverage both ways on some of these things that get you out of having to do. So variable rate changes, though, is the big one. You can change, if you say it's a variable rate account, you can change that rate every day if you'd like. As long as you've explained that in your initial disclosure, of course, you don't need to give a change in terms. This is going to be we're upping our overdraft fees. We're reducing limits on debits, things like that.